Welcome to Speaking of Pets. I'm Dr. Alice Novotny-Jeroman, a board-certified veterinary dermatologist.
And I'm not. I'm Janet Novotny-King, the doctor's sister, podcast co-host, pet owner, rescuer, and lover.
We're here to provide pet owners with science-based information to help them be the best pet parents they can be.
Here's today's episode, created just for you and your pets.
Today's episode is sponsored by Dr. Tim's Pet Food. Learn more at drtims.com. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I've been waiting for this episode for so long. As you all know, I'm a reader, and guess what? My new favorite book, and we're lucky enough to have the author, Dr. Brad Ryan, and Grandma Joy with us today. It is, I'm not going to fan gush too much, Brad. It's a lovely book. It's touching. It's fun. I love Brad's writing style. I felt like I was there seeing some of the animals, and thankfully not rolling down the dunes. But anyway, welcome to you both. I'm so excited to see you. And I do have to say one thing. My producer, Joanne, and I were at the book signing in Bath, Ohio on Saturday. You two have the most dedicated fans. We were all talking amongst ourselves. We were people that had never met each other before. And it was like a big collective love-in. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, we never worry about people getting along in line. It seems to, we seem to draw a very joyful crowd, which is, and I think people that are all sort of gravitating to the story for the reasons that I intended, which was to create connection and hope that we can find our way back to each other in this crazy divided world that we find ourselves in.
Janet, I have to ask this question. Grandma Joy, when he called you, after you hadn't talked to him in so many years, did you say, "Who is this?" Or did you know right away it was Brad?
Well, he's the only grandson of God, so it had to be him.
So, Brad and Grandma Joy, I have to share, I am a huge National Parks fan. My family and I just did the Grand Circle trip last September, where you start in Vegas and you go to, I even kept my list. Here's our itinerary.
What's on the list?
So we did, we didn't do the Hoover Dam. We did Grand Canyon, Antelope, Horseshoe Bend, Canyonland, Arches, Capitol Reef, Bryce, and Zion.
Oh, boring.
And I have
I know, it's stunning, right?
I was nervous because our longest route one day was 3 hours. It was like 3 hours. I thought, oh my God, we're going to have, 5 people. We're going to be bored. But the natural splendor is so magnificent that you are just stunned around every single bend.
Yeah, the whole state of Utah could be a national park. It's not, everything in between is glorious.
It's
like
amazing. So
Yeah.
did you guys do at Zion, did you do the river, the walk with the boots?
No, most of the parks, we did hike.
Yeah.
And we did kayak and whitewater raft and do a lot of things that you wouldn't expect. I tell people all the time, this is not driving Miss Daisy.
Right.
Grandma Joy was really, she wasn't just a passive passenger. She was really out there experiencing everything that we could, but there were still limits because we started when she was 85.
Yeah.
So I wish that we could do that. There are a lot of parks that I have unfinished business in, and she wants me to go back and get out, put a backpack on and head out into the great unknown. But we didn't get to do that.
We didn't do it at the Narrows because there was a storm coming in an hour, so there could be a flash flood, and there was bacteria. And the 5 of us looked at each other and went, it just didn't feel safe. But
at least you listen to your instinct, because people are getting hurt and killed every week in our national parks because they don't prepare. They let their ego get in the way, and Mother Nature will have the ultimate say in how prepared you really are.
Yeah, they don't follow the rules. That's the problem. They're right there. And one thing, I got the Parks magazine today, and it shows all the flowers in Death Valley. The whole place is a mess. Oh, I'd love to see it. It's beautiful. And they're having a problem because the president has ordered all these signs taken out of the parks, that shows where the Indians did so and all the different things. Yep. And they're having a terrible time.
I
history.
I thank the National Park Rangers first and foremost in the acknowledgments because
Amen.
they've never been under more pressure and they've never been spread more thinly than they are right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we all need to give them a big hug and a big smile when we go into our national parks. I say the same when you go to your vet office, but
Yay. Brad, what were you telling me at the book signing in Bath the other day about the funding? Remember we were talking about the funding for national parks? Would you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, so
because people don't know about that.
Everybody loves the most people, once you get a taste of it, you become obsessed with visiting the national parks, and rightfully so. That's where we those are our public lands, and that's where we can all recharge and get back to what's really important in life and meet people and see the best in each other, all of that. But ideally, in the Instagram world where there are no hidden gems anymore, everything is known, everything is popular, but there are still these parks that are being loved to death because they get this national park moniker. I call them the capital N, capital P national parks, as opposed to the national monuments and the national lake shores and the national battlefields and the national seashores and so forth. Because there are a lot of different national park units, but people become very hyper focused on the national parks. I'm not one to throw stones. Clearly, we did the same thing. But let's take Indiana Dunes, for example. That was a national lake shore for a very long time, and then it became Indiana Dunes National Park a few years ago. And Indiana Dunes National Park received more visitors over that first summer after the name change than they typically get in the entire season, the entire year. And did that come with an adequate increase in funding and staffing to support that increase in tourism? It did not.
Right. So
they've seen a lot of damage occurring within the park to the fragile dune plants, and it's just, we really, really have that problem everywhere, though, because now that was before all the mass firings and the budget cuts and so forth. So now we really, there just aren't enough rangers, and and they've never been more popular, the parks. So we've got all these people coming in, and it's pretty scary. I say love to death because I don't think people intend to go in there and hurt the park, but it's just.
All those cuts happened the year before we were going on our trip, and we sat down as a group. There were 5 of us, and we said, you know what, we're going to go because we want to support the Rangers. And honestly, there were no issues. The only thing was, if you get to the park early, a lot of times there's no one in the booth. You can just drive in. They're not checking. This is like a godsend, right?
Yes.
The national parks. I call it my geezer pass, Grandma Joy.
She has one.
Yeah,
she
it
has
lets your
one.
whole car in, and it's $80 for a lifetime.
Yes.
Oh.
I think you have to be 62 or 65. I can't remember, but it's amazing. It's an amazing gift from the country to have this. But we did go to support the parks, and people are pretty cool about respecting nature, except if you haven't been to a big national park like the Grand Canyon, as Grandma Joy said, there are no restrictions. Like, you read the rules when you come in, but there's no fencing. You could walk right off of there if you wanted to. So
people do all the time because they're looking at their selfie screen and not where they're standing.
Yeah.
And people walk up to the elk. We saw what happened to the gentleman with the bison in Yellowstone about a week and a half ago. There were also 2 women that were caught a few days later walking across the Grand Prismatic Spring, which would be a heck of a way to die. 188 degree acidic water. Anyway,
I love Grandma Joy at the book signing was, I didn't mean to overhear, but Grandma Joy was saying, you need to leave it as you found it. And that's so profound in just that sentence, right, Grandma Joy? You need to leave the national park the way you found it. Don't leave a trace that you were there.
Right. And just like that lady we saw pull the flowers up and take a picture with them and then throw them in the trash.
Oh.
She had no business doing that. If you want to take a picture with the flowers, stoop down where they are.
Exactly. No, you're right. That's exactly right. And Brad, what you're saying about, the gentleman that was thrown by the bison, why do people always have to want to go up to touch an animal? There's no respect there.
No,
you know, and then they teach the kids, can I pet it? No, this is a wild animal.
Years ago, when I was an intern at the Cincinnati Zoo, I remember I was walking around at lunch, and I know we're talking about national parks, and I'll get back to that. But
right.
Yeah, I was walking. This guy had his 3-year-old dangling by her legs into the pit where the bongo antelope was. The bongo, you know, you've seen their horns.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost faith in parents back then.
Right.
And then I saw somebody with their toddler on their shoulders running towards a black bear and Kate's. Listen, I've seen it all, but if you see bad behavior, I hope that you call it out. We've had to do that sometimes.
And just to get off the track, but still on the veterinary track, I love Brad as a vet when I call it out and I get told it's none of your business. And guess what I say? But it is my business.
Of course it is.
It's your park.
I get my sheriff badge on. That's right.
Well, listen, I mean, it's people are just not, like you said, they're just not respectful. That really the joy should come from being a passive observer and sitting back and watching how these animals behave without our presence, right? Without us causing stress for them. And that's what it is. That people don't even, I wish that the rules were more strict. I think people need to be mindful of the fact that this really does have physiological a physiological stress response for these animals, and if something goes wrong and we're injured, it's usually the animal that gets euthanized.
Right.
And so, I think we absolutely have to call out improper behavior around wildlife, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they need more agents to watch over the animals instead of devouring them. And
I'll volunteer for that.
Yeah. Well, there are, and I shall say that we don't champion our volunteers enough either. There are a lot of, especially now, a lot of wonderful people that come out in communities that neighbor these parks, and they're there to help, especially during this current era. So,
you know, Brad, I have to tell you, since I retired, and you know, we spent 6 months in Venice, Florida, I've met so many retirees from various professions. They volunteer at different places every day. I'm like, wow, this is like a full-time job you're doing. I mean, I volunteer at Animal Rescue, but I mean, they volunteer in the theater, at the park. And so it's refreshing because it's something they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of them have waited their whole lives to be able to do that. And so at that point, it's not about money and benefits anymore. It's about how am I showing up for my life every day? And do I feel good about it?
It's what's in here at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And give them a reason to get out of bed in the morning.
That's right.
You know, you're right, Grandma Joy. You are right. And I have to tell you, is Brad hard to keep up with? And I also want to know, did you sleep in a tent every night, or did he treat you to a hotel sometimes?
The first trip we went on, I was in the tent every night.
I know when I read that about
I couldn't taking it down, help with it up.
That was the saving grace of going viral, is that we went from 29 parks in a tent to a Hyatt sponsorship.
Yay!
We're like, someone's got to stop this guy. They're like, we've got to get this 90-year-old woman in a bed.
Were they reporting you to AARP? You were having charges brought against you.
Look, I feed her, I swear.
When it comes to feeding our pets, we believe in results you can see over hype, and that's exactly why we're proud to partner with Dr. Tim's Pet Food.
Dr. Tim Hunt is a practicing veterinarian who spent decades formulating nutrition for every kind of pet, from the laid-back lapdog to his own Iditarod sled team.
Check out Dr. Tim's Pet Food and see what science-backed nutrition looks like for your pet. They'll have a shiny coat, more energy, healthy weight, and more. Because every great adventure, even a nap on the couch, starts with a healthy pet. Hey everyone, don't forget to pick up Country Critter Journal if you live in Northeast Ohio. It's a must-read for all pet lovers. Their goal is similar to ours here at the podcast, to educate the community on taking care of pets. They're advocates for adopting from shelters, not puppy mills, and they connect our local communities with goods, services, kennels, and those seeking to adopt a pet. They're a hometown paper with a personal touch, a must-read for all pet lovers, Country Critter Journal.
Tell our listeners your story in a nutshell, how this all started.
Oh my God.
Wait. Nutshell.
It's in this is the nutshell, let me tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it was so hard because when like I said, when the story went viral in 2019, we were halfway through this personal journey. And I don't even, in the media would, they wanted me to tell them this synopsis in 5 minutes. And it was really hard to do because there were many different layers to it. And I say you can start when I'm in my 4th year of vet school at Ohio State, or you can start when I was a little boy. And I think it's easier to just start when I was a little boy and just say that, we are lucky in Southeast Ohio that we had the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and we had hills to climb and streams that were very pristine at the time that we could get in take our shoes off, get in, and she would help me look for crawdads, and I had a little goldfish net, and I would catch minnows. Sometimes they're fast.
Yeah, for
Goldfish nets.
Yeah.
And I had a little cool container, and I would just collect my menagerie, and I just was full of wonder. From that 3-4 years of age, I remember that. And I say that was certainly, those were seeds that were planted early on that I took throughout my entire life. I mean, I worked at the Wilds. I couldn't wait to work there. I couldn't wait to be old enough to drive out there and work as a tour guide. And then I was scooping rhino poo in the barn, and on we go. And then that led to the Cincinnati Zoo, that led to the Cheetah Conservation Fund, that led to the University of Pretoria in South Africa, all from this little town in Southeast Ohio. But she started it. And then we had this really, I think like most people, this really complex family dynamic that was happening over the years, unspoken generational trauma. Her youngest son was addicted to drugs, and that caused a lot of friction in the family and a lot of safety issues that it created a wedge between my father and my grandparents. And I just saw a lot of fighting, and then there were periods of estrangement that happened along the way. And then when I got into undergraduate school, my parents got divorced, and it was a very acrimonious divorce, and there was a big fight that happened. And I cut off the paternal side of my family, including Grandma Joy. And that lasted almost a decade. And so I had this really fortunate, beautiful experience of being able to hike in the Appalachian Mountains for 6 months. I through hiked from Georgia to Maine in 2009. And that was a time period when I was 27 years old, going on 28, very lost, still very much fixated on the past and the demons, the bullies, and my father and all of that. And I wanted to be a veterinarian more than anything. And I couldn't pass physics. And I took it twice, and I had to drop out both times after a couple exams just didn't go my way, and I just sobbed. But I'd given it up, and luckily I was in the mountains for 6 months, and I saw myself in a new light. I saw my potential differently, and I was like, if I can do this, I'll take it at a community college. I'll get through this. I'm gonna go for it. But I also thought a lot about, because I would camp by these streams, and it would just take me back to those early days. And I was like, I think nobody in my family has ever said, I forgive you. Nobody in my family has ever taken the high road. And I think that I need to try this. I need to try to reach out to her and see what happens. And so I did, and we went back to Blue Rock State Park, the same park that she took me as a little boy. And it was a simple conversation about what it was like hiking in the woods for 6 months. And she told me that she regretted that she never got to see a mountain in her life. And that, I think it might have broken a lot of people's hearts, but I'm not sure how many people actually would have done something about it. And I thought, I'll take her on one camping trip. I'll take her on we'll go down to the Smokies, and we'll see the mountains. but I got into grad school, a second graduate program in veterinary public health, and then right into my DVM program. So it was 5 years later that I finally took that road trip with her. But not to gloss over what those years in vet school were like for me, because academic success was always my sense of that's where I got my sense of self-worth. I wasn't athletic really. I know I hiked from Georgia to Maine, but I wasn't a classic athlete in that sense, and I wasn't artistic, or so I didn't think. I was a great writer, but I'd left that behind. And so I just lost myself. I don't know how else to say it. I was not performing to my typical standards, and I underestimated how important that was to my sense of self-worth and self-esteem. And I was very, very depressed and very suicidal for years. And I mean, it was my daily prayer to have enough strength to take my own life. And during my 4th year of vet school, things were starting to get better. I was doing my clinical rotations at zoos and wildlife rehab centers and so forth. And then in the fall, I showed up for my radiology rotation, and a second-year veterinary student named David Hilton committed suicide at our campus. And that was my moment of reckoning. It was, I just went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror, and after looking at his smiling face on his Facebook profile, and I just realized that there is a very thin line that exists between wishing that for yourself, wishing that you could do that, and maybe the right circumstances come together, or the wrong circumstances come together that actually tip the scale in that direction that makes you do it. And it's all the data on suicide shows that it's typically a very spontaneous decision. There's not a lot of time that happens. I'm going to do it, and actually executing on that thought. And so I just thought to myself, this is it, Brad. Like, you have to decide, like, are you going to take control of your life again? And remember that this is not the be all end all of life. You're working towards a career. This is, but there's, you lived in the woods for 6 months. You love life. You know that you feel that you can feel profound joy. And so I just decided that I'm going to call her. I'm going to see if she wants to go on a road trip this weekend. Let's get that first. She's 85 now. We don't have all the time in the world to keep playing Russian roulette with another day and another day. So let's see if she'll go. And it's funny. I joke every night that I do these author events, that because I'm usually in bookstores, and I'm like, find the self-help book that tells me to take an 85-year-old woman camping to pull myself out of a mental health crisis. It seems so absurd on the.
Well, here it is.
I know. Now we have it. But that's what I thought I needed to do in that moment, was to be with somebody who knew me from the very beginning, because I think I was subconsciously trying to get as far away from that teaching hospital as I could physically, but also in a temporal sense. I wanted to recapture the magic of my youth, and the innocence of my youth, and the carefree days of my youth. And so that's how it started. And clearly I got carried away.
Well, I have to say I'm jealous, because my parents were really old when they had me. They were 45 and 48. I was a mistake on the lake.
Okay.
Lake Erie, and and I never had grandparents.
Yeah.
No, I didn't either. And Janet and I are 6 years apart.
Wow.
So Grandma Joy, you need to adopt us, because
We don't have it.
we never had a grandma. Our parents were so old that when Janet was somewhere with my dad, they'd say, "You and your grandpa can come in."
So I would say, no, this is my lover. It was the bald 80-year-old dude, and people would kind of go, oh, and I was like, because I was sick of it.
Yeah.
And assumed he was my grandfather.
And that's why Janet and I talk very loud, because we were always around older people that couldn't hear.
Yeah,
And so people will sometimes I feel badly, because people turn around and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm talking loud again. But my parents' friends were all elderly, so
I hung out with the old people.
Honestly, we're old souls, Janet. You and I.
We really are, and we had the opportunity to be with our elders, and then our age and younger people. I felt really blessed that we had that, but I never knew what a grandparent relationship was like. So this is
so you two are lucky.
Well, I think so too, and I've heard that from a lot of people. So I lost both of my grandfathers the same week in 1994. My paternal and maternal grandfather died the same week in 94. And yet both of my grandmothers are still alive. I have an 89-year-old grandmother and I have a 96-year-old grandmother. And for the people that come up to me in the line and say that exact thing, I always encourage them to really consider, because there's so much magic to find in an intergenerational friendship, so much wisdom and humor and perspective. That's what I think that's what I needed more than anything at that time in my life. In that moment of darkness, I just needed perspective and some hope. And she had lived through a lot of hard stuff.
Yeah.
And I love the humor part, because at the beginning of the book, Janet, I had him sign a book for you. When you come in September, I have it for you. Yeah. But my favorite, I actually laughed out loud, Brad. The first night you slept in the tent, he couldn't sleep because he was worried she was going to swallow her teeth. Because they didn't bring the Efferdent cup. Not to get too personal, Grandma Joy.
It's too late.
Okay. Those are the things that Janet and I worried about with our parents.
Yeah.
And you know, like when my mom was living locally here, because where she lived, the crime wasn't that good. So my husband and I bought a little house close to my office here, which is 3 miles away. And we'd go and I'd knock on the door, and she never locked the door. And I'd make my husband, I'd say, oh my gosh, go in and see, because she was sleeping so soundly, I was worried she had passed away. And I'd say to Mike, go in there. And he's like, you go in there, it's your mother. So anyway, you have to have humor in this.
I used to go into Mom's house and be like, is her chest going up and down?
I know.
Same thing with Daddy when he was in the hospital.
But that's for any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, she stopped snoring on that first night of camping, and I was like, oh no.
I know you mentioned that.
Yeah. And then I jabbed her between the shoulders, and she screamed. And I'm sorry, Grandma, I thought you were dead. Go, continue. Just go.
Yeah. Wait. As the Three Stooges used to say, wake up and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask the dreaded question. Do you have a favorite park? That's so hard.
I'm sure everyone's asked them that.
It's the most common question that we get, and sometimes we just make up a different park. and sometimes we have our canned answer, and we say Katmai because it was so glorious to see 33 brown bears during the salmon run. They were all there. We counted them at the peak. We saw 33 at once. And it was just Alaska in general was just so magical. It's hard to say this.
Yeah.
Alaska.
And it was hot there. Grandma Joy was saying it was like 80 degrees, right? Grandma Joy in Alaska, it was hot.
In the Arctic Circle, yeah.
Wow.
There he was with all those winter clothes. Here it's warm, thing, booze, seeing ready. And it was sandy to boot.
Honest to goodness.
There's sand dunes in the Arctic Circle in Kobuk Valley National Park, one of the least visited national parks. But the Grandma Joy usually gives the answer which I think is the right answer, which is that how do you say Glacier is better than Zion when they're so radically different and both so spectacular? And I mean, the grandeur there is, and Big Bend is another one. Very few people go to Big Bend, which
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it has all the grandeur. Yellowstone, not so hard to find a parking space, which is nice. But yeah, and then Acadia and Hawaii volcanoes, and they're just so different. Like, I think we just have to appreciate where we are while we're there for what's there, even if it's Cuyahoga Valley National Park, which gets a lot of crap because I'm sorry, we don't have mountains in Ohio, but everything is like, you can't find what's at Cuyahoga Valley National Park out west either. So, why I don't really get the comparison game.
Well, I have to say, when our two sons, who are 31 and 33, that was a year ago, September, and we went to the Grand Canyon. I had been once in the winter, and my husband had been. And to see them at the rim, and they were starstruck. I mean,
you were watching them watch the...
Yeah.
It was a moment. I mean, both my husband and I welled up, and we looked at each other, and we were like, wow, this really, both of them were just so in awe. And it was really cool. I actually met a guy a couple weekends ago, and we were talking, and said, what's the most breathtaking place that's just taken, and he looked at me, he goes, the Grand Canyon. I go, oh my God, me too. He actually stayed at Phantom Ranch.
Wow.
Oh my
God. He said they serve beef stew, all you can eat. That's the only thing you can eat there. And he said, I was almost sick to my stomach because I ate so much.
I was going to ask you about the food. Was the food unique to the places you visited, or was it all fast food?
We tried not to eat fast food. We had a
Yeah,
cooler,
good.
so we would do. I mean, but there were, like I said, this was. I mean, we were on a very tight budget because
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
we did that weekend camping trip in the Smokies, and then the next trip that happened a year and a half later was a 28-day camping trip around
Whoa.
the U.S. that lasted that we had. Yeah, we hit 21 national parks in 28 days.
Wow.
And so there, and I actually I did a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
To see if I could get some gas money to help make this
Right.
happen for Hay.
Right, right.
And it was ramen noodles with
Yeah.
with a little gas stove at the.
So you took a lot of your own food, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But then a lot of ramen noodles, a lot
Yeah.
of mandarin oranges, a lot of gas station fried chicken, things like that. It wasn't luxurious by
Yeah.
any stretch of the imagination.
Gotcha.
But
We never went hungry.
we didn't go hungry, and we saw a lot of beautiful stuff. And I think, because we had that archive, like we were really serious about this mission, and we were doing the best we could in the tent. And one of my vet school classmates, Dr. Adam Jason, who works up in Cleveland, he gave us his tent, and we just had a lot of love, a lot of people that were supporting us in this quest to try to go to as many national parks as we could. And so by the time the story went viral in 2019, there was this beautiful archive of photos on Instagram of us and Glacier and Zion and Joshua Tree, and on and on we go. And we went to the Everglades. We went to Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Was actually our 23rd park, I think. We just did a day trip up there and back. But I was committed to it, and we were trying to just see how much juice we could squeeze out of an orange starting at age 85.
Right, right. Did you keep a journal from the very beginning, or when you started traveling, you thought, hey, I should write this down where and when we've been at places?
I wish that I had journal. I journaled every day on the AT, and it's so beautiful. And
Yeah.
99% of it you don't remember, and so you're so glad that you wrote it down. And I wish that I had, but I was driving the whole time, and we were putting in really long days. And by
Yeah.
the time you get your tent site,
Yeah.
and anyway, it didn't happen. But she did keep a journal,
Oh, good.
and I recorded a lot of video, took a lot of photos, and then as time went on, I learned if she's going to tell a story, you better make sure you're recording it.
Yeah.
So that's what makes the dialogue so rich in the book, is because it really was what she said most of the time. And so I had a lot of great sources to pull from. And
I also
we only shared a fraction of it in the book.
I also love that you wrote the book yourself. You wrote it. No ghostwriter.
Absolutely not.
And I love that because it's it's lovely written, and I'm sure that's incorrect English, but it's lovely written, and it also, you really exposed so much of yourself, and I appreciated that, but yet I was I almost felt like I was invading.
True.
But yet I appreciated that you did that, because there were some chapters that I was teary-eyed at the end of those chapters, and then you would tell a cute story about Grandma Joy and the teeth, and and then I'd be laughing. So it's very endearing.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, the darkest chapter comes right after we were in Six Flags riding roller coasters. So it's like it's just what life is, right? It's all the different emotions and all the different eras of life. We the darkness bleeds into the light most of the time, and it's can we let the light overpower that darkness? Can we hold our grief and our anguish and our regret in one hand, and then make all this space in our lives for joy and presence and humor, and let that tip the scale and not feel guilty about it?
And reconnecting.
Yes. Yeah, and so the I'm sure the parts that you're talking about where you felt maybe a little voyeuristic in my psyche, that was all. Those were the hardest things to write, and yet I knew that these were the things that had been weighing me down my whole life, and that they were shame-based. And I've read enough Brene Brown books to know that shame dies in the light. And so, I collapsed on my keyboard after I wrote it all, and I wrote everything chronologically up until the scene in the desert where we talk about our past histories with abusers. And then I went straight in from that part into part 3, which, you know, is the journey that we did not expect to take after I got some news about my father. And so I was like, I can't write about whitewater rafting in Alaska and all. I can't do it right now. I was already in this really, because I don't know how to explain it other than you have to embody that era of your life. You have to embody that version of yourself at that point in time to be able to write it emotionally and viscerally and to make it really land the way it needs to land. And so once I was in, once I already felt like I was, my guts were ripped out. It was like, we just have to stay here and ride this out till it's all written down.
And then you have to climb out.
Yeah.
Which is what you did.
I felt a vast amount of relief when it was all written because I felt healed and although I do say healing is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm always going to be grappling with some memory of my past, but
sure.
No, I felt that the writing of that book, those parts of my life, processing it in that way really has allowed me to set myself free. Because I was on a hamster wheel. Reliving the past over and over again, re-traumatizing myself over and over and over again. I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And now I'm so happy it's in a book that I can lay down on the table and I can walk out the door and go have, you know, make the joyful experiences in my life that I want to make and just know that I'm not defined by the worst things that happened to me and the handful of cruel people that I encountered along the way. It affected me for a long time, but we've overcome a lot.
And that goes for the two of you. And the other thing, if you listen today to this when it's over, the one word here that I keep hearing is joy. Whether it's grandma joy or joyfulness, I mean, it's just rampant. And I think is there a nicer word than that? I don't think so.
No, and it's distinct from happiness.
Yes.
Because when I think of joy, I think of
spontaneity too.
Yeah.
Joy is deeper than happiness.
It is. There's a freedom to it. There's a oneness, I think, to the life force, whatever you want to call it. But it's living life, I think, with an appreciation for the miracle of it all, and whether that's looking up at the stars or just like with her, it's appreciating the pattern on a bug shell or how many different colors of lichen are on that fallen tree that I was just speeding by on my way to the summit for the last 10 years. And then I had to walk at her pace and I realized it wasn't so bad after all. You know, so all these people are in Outside Magazine because they're scaling these massive mountains and the Himalayas and so forth. And yet they give us some attention too. And I think that's wonderful because we all are getting older. And I think every single person wants to believe that they can crush it in their 90s. If she can do it, then I can manifest that for myself, hopefully. Genetics are real, all that stuff is real, but whatever it is, I mean, just to get out of the house and keep connecting, keep living, keep putting dates on the calendar, keep making memories.
Yep. Yeah. It keeps you going. And Grandma Joy, I really want to know, how much crocheting are you doing, if any?
I put it away. I got time to get it out.
Here's something we love about Dr. Tim's pet food. Every formula starts with a question. Does this actually help the animal, not just look good on a shelf?
Dr. Tim has spent decades as a working vet, and that experience shows up across the entire product line. Whether your dog is a little overweight and needs a healthy, balanced food to help shed a few pounds, or could be a picky eater who won't touch their breakfast without Dr. Tim's Vagabond freeze-dried toppers, or just a regular couch companion who deserves real nutrition in every bowl.
Speaking of Pets is committed to bringing you science-based information and partners that align with that mission. And Dr. Tim's is a great example of nutrition done right for every pet, not just the athletic ones.
Head to Dr. Tim's Pet Food to find the formula that fits your pet's life.
Hope you're enjoying today's Speaking of Pets podcast. Every week, we feature a board-certified specialist, dermatology, me, oncology, internal medicine, orthopedic surgery, ophthalmology, dentistry, you name it. If it affects pets, we're on it.
We're here to share some really good information for pet owners, practical information that is science-based, so that you can be a pet owner and have a healthier pet.
To learn more about your pet's health, check out our other episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
But I have a question for Grandma Joy. What advice do you have for older people who maybe they want to adopt a pet, or maybe they want to go on an adventure? What is your
Or
advice?
adopt a grandson.
Or adopt a grandson?
Or
What is
us.
your advice?
Adopt us.
What is your advice?
Your advice to older generations for that when they start to say, I might be too old for that.
No. Don't ever give up. That's for darn sure. Don't ever say that. And when your family says you're too old to do that, tell them to go jump in the river. You have to do. That's for darn sure. There's more to life than that one little corner where you are. And you need to have the courage to jump and try something different. Even if it doesn't work out, try it again. You'll never know just sitting there and not trying whether you can do it or not. Then you got to think positive and say, okay, I'm going to give it a whirl and we'll see if it works.
You know, a long time ago, I worked for a spree, and the woman who ran a spree said, it's an attitude, not an age.
Yeah, it's all about attitude.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you choose that every day you get out of bed.
Look up when this is over, and for the people who are listening, by the time this airs, maybe he'll already be finished. But there's a 91-year-old man who's about to finish an Appalachian Trail through hike,
Yes.
and he
following
had the record at 82, I think.
Yes.
Some 83-year-old beat him, and so he waited 8 years to say, "I'm going to make sure nobody."
I can do it.
Yeah. So he set off, and he's almost finished. And he's just, and he walks into a hostel. And I used to be limping when I would walk into a hostel at the end of an 18-mile hiking day. I couldn't even get across the room without hobbling. And this guy's just dancing and just loving life. And I just think, yes, it's all, we let that get in our heads too much. But society doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
And yet we have complete control over. I mean, we could choose to never even look at the calendar and count the days and just let life happen and just ride the roller coaster, ride the waves as they come. And yes, if you have to slow down, that's fine. But I will say, I think most people would assume that at age 85, when we started this journey, that I got her right at the very peak. Like, she was never going to get healthier than that. She was never going to get more coordinated. Her balance was never going to be better, and so forth. But it was the opposite when she actually was out there hiking and thinking about where to put her feet and how to balance herself as she stepped over this rock and make sure that, if it's a little bit slippery, that I hold on to something. As she was using all these different parts of her brain and moving in a new way, her balance improved, her coordination improved, and she smiled more, and her cardiovascular strength improved, and then she's hiking more and doing even longer trails and meeting wonderful people from around the world, at an age when, if people are lucky enough to live to be 96, in most cases, they've outlived their entire social group.
Yeah.
And now she has friends from teenagers all the way up to her age. And
4 years old up.
yeah.
Well, Brad, I don't remember what scientist said this, but I always remember energy breeds energy.
Yeah.
It does. And Grandma Joy, I bet you're in the best shape you've ever been in. And who cares about the chronological age?
Yeah.
Right. As they keep saying over and over, age is just a number.
Yeah, right.
And don't concentrate on that part.
And can I tell you something else? You have great hair. You really do.
I feel like I've lost a lot.
No, look how thick your hair is. And Brad, isn't your determining if you get bald or not, isn't that from the mother's side of the family or something? I can't remember.
Yes, which is why I'm not.
Oh,
And Brad,
my
my
father had
boys
none of
are.
that.
My boys are, and they'll never forgive me because it's all Daddy. Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather lived to be 100,
Oops.
and he had all his hair, and he had this curl that come down there, and, and it was there when he passed away. So,
Well,
yeah.
we talked about society. When they see the gray hair, I'm telling you, I'm immediately dismissed, and I'm only 66.
I believe it.
And I'll be like, "Hey, wait a minute, I got something to say." It does get to you when
No,
you.
Brad, you're right, because even since I've been retired now 9 years as a veterinary dermatologist, and I used to be speaking and lecturing and consulting and stuff. Once you are not in the mainstream, you know nothing. You see what I'm saying? And it's sad because you have to make your own. That's one of the reasons Janet and I started the podcast. Because after I retired, I would have clients calling me saying, "Hey, I read about doing this." I'm like, "Where did you read that?" I said to Janet, "We have got to get evidence-based information out to these people because there's so many myths and misinformation that could harm pets that's on in the internet." And you know, Brad, what I'm talking about.
We suffer in so many ways when we don't understand that there is value in every
Yes.
generation.
Yes.
I mean, it could go the other extreme as well, and we need everyone.
Yes.
We need all the more diverse perspectives
Yes.
that we have, the more likely it is that we're going to end up with the optimal solution, I think.
We need the young minds combined with the older minds. And
No.
I would be at some of the dermatology meetings sitting with a colleague of mine of my same age, and someone across the table, a new grad, would be saying, "Oh, this great idea." And I'd whisper to my friend, I'd say, "Remember, we did that 10 years ago and it didn't work. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's talk together and combine our knowledge."
Yes, and my call to action in that is, I think that's in the book in my own way, but it's broadly applicable. You can say this idea of intergenerational connection, unlocking the power of that we can apply that in a lot of different ways. And I just think that we know that what we're doing is not working. And now we've got a lot of, because you just have to take it back to basic, in my opinion, just basic anthropology. For the vast majority of our evolution as a species, we've been feet in the dirt, in nature, and we had communities where we survived because of intergenerational society, social units, and family units. And I talk about it as a chapter called "The Rooms We Left Behind," which is when we're in Mesa Verde National Park, which is a very unique U.S. national park that shows the cave dwellers that lived in that region of Colorado, the Pueblans. And I just felt this energy of the ghosts of these grandparents and grandchildren laughing down in the caves under those those overhangs, while the parents were obviously out getting the food.
Yeah.
And what stories were being shared, and obviously stories that actually sometimes meant life or death for those family units. So yeah, I mean, we've just lost our way. The fact that we accept generational segregation as a social norm that's acceptable in this country is so wrong. And we should connect the dots between that reality that we're facing, that's relatively new for us as a species, versus and then think about the litany of mental health problems that people have, and on we go. And maybe if we got back to something that our DNA recognized as familiar and safe,
Yep.
and cup filling,
Yeah.
maybe we would do better. And so I hope that people get that. And I think I'm not saying this book has the power to change, even if it sells as many copies as Eat, Pray, Love, which would be a miracle. I don't know that it would have the ability to really transform society, but I hope that on an individual level, that when people read this, they think, you know what?
Yeah.
60% of nursing home residents don't get a single visitor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can go make a new friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? They hunger for that. You bring a therapy dog in,
Sure.
and it's the hit of their day. I look at it as something almost spiritual. I really do. Grandma Joy, how proud are you of him?
Oh, I got big, yeah. Yep, indeed. I got one of a kind. I tell you
Yes,
this right
we
now.
do.
And everybody loves him when they talk to him. They tell him things they wouldn't tell anybody else. And he listens politely. And if he has something serious to tell them, he tells them in that way. And they walk away feeling better. I know
They
that.
do. I saw that at the book signings. They do. He's so, and not to fan gush, okay, Brad, but
He
looks.
does this every show, Brad.
No, I don't. And I'm telling you something. It's so one-on-one with you both. It really is. I have to encourage people, if look up their book tour, because it's a lovely experience, and the people that are there to see them, it's like a big love fest. I'm not kidding you.
It's important to me that people, I know what it's like to feel invisible. There's no worse feeling. And I've had it happen many times in my life where even in vet school, right, where I was part of this major, like 152 students, it was a huge class, but it wasn't in the culture to be vulnerable. It wasn't in the culture to say, I'm feeling a little unsure about myself to do this procedure, or I forgot that basic piece of information. I keep struggling with this concept that everybody else seems to have down, like to show that there's so much shame in just being human and vulnerable. And I think that's changing, thankfully. Yeah. But there's still a lot of people who struggle with that. And I also know what it was like to be invisible. When I was through hiking the AT, we got up in the South, you're like a rock star if you're a through hiker. When you get up to Kent, Connecticut, you're a dirty, smelly bum.
I've seen
and you're like, don't get in don't come to our restaurant, you know. And I remember the people walking by and I I'd already gone through grad school at that point, and I was just planning the next stage of my life and wanted to have an adventure, but it was just like I was invisible. And and so, you know, that changed the way I interact with homeless people. And when I walk out, I don't give them money necessarily, but I say hello.
Yes.
just so that you don't, we can't dehumanize people like that, or I can't do it anymore. And so, when people come, if people drove out to meet us and buy a book and sign it, I want to know who you are. And I want to know a little bit of your story without holding up the line too much. If there is a line, but if there's not, I'll talk all day, because that's why I wrote the book, because I was longing for connection.
Yeah. So, Grandma Joy, what is one word that describes your adventure together?
Oh, boy.
Oh.
You can give a few if you can't think of one. If you could sum up our adventure in a word, what word would come to your mind?
Very enlightening.
Oh, that's a good
excellent
one. That's excellent.
You don't know all these people out there that keep things to themselves, but you don't know what a pleasant smile and a handshake can do to make them feel better. So you don't have to do a lot. Sometimes somebody has a beautiful dress on, or her hair looks beautiful. I tell them, I'll say, you have the most beautiful dress on. Oh, thank you, she said. Well, I'm probably the only one to talk to her maybe that day. But she made her feel better about herself. So
think how good that makes you feel when someone gives you a compliment. Oh, I love your shirt today. Really, and you didn't even think about it when you put it on that morning. You're like, wow, that's so nice that someone A, would notice, and B, compliment me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it's probably gotten worse. Or I know it's gotten worse because most people are just head and screen.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think, once again, we need... I feel it. I think maybe it's this book tour, and maybe it's just having spent so much time in the national parks where we don't have enough bars on our phone to be on our phones. But I do think that people are realizing that the status quo is not working. We're not living our lives in a way that is in alignment with what our spirit really wants. And it is basic stuff. It is, and yes, we got to pay the bills, and we've got to do all those things, but we have to create a space in our lives for joy. And it may not be 63 U.S. national parks. It might be, volunteering. It might be It might be I never got to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but a lot of people have these unrealized dreams that haven't come to fruition yet, and it's never too late. And I think, especially for somebody of the younger generation who has maybe the ability to bring somebody along for the ride, I don't know. I don't know if they really think about how much life, how much joy and fulfillment that it brings to your life when you do that. The two loneliest groups, statistically speaking, Vivek Murthy, our former U.S. Surgeon General, did a whole Surgeon General's report on the epidemic of loneliness and social isolation in America, and the two loneliest groups are the elderly and people in their 20s.
Yep.
Particularly men.
Yep.
And you gotta wonder,
Yeah.
And these are people that are liking Facebook posts all day long, and
Yep.
but it's not a proxy for connection. It's just not.
No, it's not.
Wow.
And I think too, communication. If you want to go somewhere, fine, but speak to someone, talk to someone. How are you today? Or what did you do today? I walk Hinkley Lake every morning, and I know these people's first names that I've been seeing for 40 years. I don't know their last names. I don't know what they do, but we all kind of watch out for one another. Hey, how are you today? Have a good weekend. It just kind of boosts your spirit.
Little moments.
Yeah.
But it has a big impact. Yeah, because because most of us are in our own inner world, and we're probably hyper focusing on the to-do list and all these stressors, and then someone just brings you out of your trance and says something nice to you, and then you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I also think it has to do with our Midwest upbringing. I do. I think people in the Midwest are much more friendly. I've lived on
You're
both.
right.
We are. I agree with you.
And when I lived in Manhattan, I lived in New York in the 80s, and people would say to me, "You're not from here, are you?" We're not from here.
Why are you smiling? I've felt that at different stages of my life where I've been very gregarious with somebody at the airport or whatever, and somebody that I'm with who's not from. I went to grad school with a woman from Kansas.
Yeah.
And when I lived in South Africa, we were the only two Americans, so we hung out, but we were very different people in that way.
Yeah.
And she would just be like, she just wanted to crawl under a rock, and I'm just like, well, why wouldn't I get to know this person? And she was just couldn't even make eye contact.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but I don't think that that's a part of our culture. I think we should try to preserve.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Because like we were talking about, that could really we don't know what someone else is going through, and if you annoy somebody, so be it. But if it actually gives somebody a little bit of it brings a little bit of warmth to their heart, then
Goes a long way.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I can remember going with my mom out, and she spoke to somebody in the parking lot, in the elevator or whatever, and I find myself doing it. I thought, oh, I'm taking after my mom.
I know.
That's everybody. Yeah, 'cause sometimes just a smile makes somebody's day. They're feeling down and up, and it's well, I guess maybe somebody sees me after all.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, just because I feel guilty because we haven't talked too much about veterinary stuff. What do you think about how do we what should we do about this intergenerational divide?
Well,
There's obviously we need the wisdom of our retired doctors, right?
we need a lot of mentorship, and we need a lot of expelling the fear in young graduates that here's an eye ulcer. I'm afraid of what I might do wrong. Well, maybe you're going to do right, and I just think the book learning is great, but I think the mentorship, I think you really start to learn the day you started the first day in practice.
100%.
Absolutely. And just, we have to give a shout out. Brad and I both have to give a shout out to Sarah Sklenka, one of our favorite people, and also Rusty Moore, whom we both know as well. So, yeah, without embarrassing them too much.
I think a lot of the younger generation isn't going into medicine in general, whether it's human or veterinary, because if you think about it, to become a doctor, it's 8 years. And we are in such a fast society. Think of scrolling. And when you tell a young person, that's 8 years, they sort of go, ugh, that's a lot to bite off. That instantaneous satisfaction doesn't get you the 8 years, you know?
I agree. I think, but we have some big challenges, but some big opportunities, and we need to make it cool. We really do. I mean, we should look at that as an untapped pool for mental health resilience, obviously skill building, clinical reasoning, all of it. I mean, we just need it. And then I think, yeah, inevitably when we do that enough, then we also find that the younger generations are bringing something to the table too that maybe we wish that we would have known about 30 years ago too. So it's bi-directional. It's always bi-directional. And but we need to have the right mindset about it. And like you said, it could be like, what do these young people know? What are these old school vets know? I've seen that both ways, and it's not helpful. If we have mutual respect, then we have then that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I hope
we've got to combine our generations to really do it right.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway.
Well, Janet,
wait, they're going to the Harvard bookstore on the 13th. Whoa, rubbing elbows.
Listen,
I love Boston. I love it.
I got that one on my own.
Really?
Yeah, my publicist did not arrange it. I reached out to them, and honestly, I think, why not? We'll just try. I have such a thing about rejection, but it's like I'm gonna just knock on Harvard's door and see what happens, and I got in. So
hey, listen, Brad, when you and Grandma Joy go, make sure you go on the duck boat.
Okay.
In Boston.
And Janet and I took her to a veterinary dermatology meeting for the podcast.
I am not a vet, by the way.
No, she's not. And she got to drive the duck boat. So I'm sure Grandma Joy will get to drive the duck boat.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Fun. It was fun.
It was fun. It was so cool.
I went to Dover a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I know. Don't say that.
Oh,
that doesn't happen.
They could handle it. They've been to 60.
She's done class 3 rapids in Alaska.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We can do a duck boat.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
Joy. And this is so inspiring. And I can't wait to get my copy. And safe travels on your book tour. And thanks for being a part of our show. We truly appreciate you and your liveliness. You're inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm in love. I just have to say I'm in love with the two of you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. So, Janet, why don't you close it out?
We're going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening. Thanks for sharing. We love to hear from you. Don't forget to email us your questions and concerns to soppodcast.com. That's 2 P's in there. And we appreciate you tuning in. Share with a friend. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.
I appreciate it. Today's episode is sponsored by Dr. Tim's Pet Food.
Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep loving your pets. Learn more at drtims.com.
Hey, thanks for watching
And listening.
We like likes.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Speaking of Pets.
and give your pets a big kiss from the Novotny sisters.
The Speaking of Pets podcast is an SLA video production.